I've been talking about deleting your information off the internet a lot lately, both here on YouTube as well as on my other platforms, and rightfully so. With hacks happening to big providers like Uber, it's really easy to see how quickly your personal information can surface on the web. Another threat that we have to deal with these days is data broker sites. And what are data brokers? Well, I will answer that question today, and I will walk you through how I remove my information from tons of sites without lifting a finger by using DeleteMe. DeleteMe recently sponsored some of my content, and I figured that I would also post an unsponsored, totally separate review to answer some of the questions that I have seen about the product and how it works. They won't see this video before it releases. They're gonna see it at the same time as everybody else out there. And I am basing all of this information here on my own experiences since I have been a paying customer of DeleteMe since 2018. TLDR, DeleteMe searches all those popular data broker sites for matches to your data, and they send all those opt-out requests for you. Plus, they also monitor the data quarterly to make sure the information doesn't get republished, and if it does, they send a new opt-out. So hello s'mores, I am Shanna Morse. Welcome to my YouTube channel. First, let's discuss data brokers. Now, my fun way to compare these data broker sites is like a phone book that we used to receive in the 1990s. Everyone's phone numbers and addresses would be listed next to their full names, so you could look up anybody for free so that you could call them from your home telephone from this giant book of data that was literally thrown at your garage door by a delivery person like once a year. Data brokers run these kind of websites where you can search for people and find out their public information. Now that could be public records, marketing companies selling your data, it could be your mortgage information that's on record, your marriage license, whatever it might be, etc., etc. The data that becomes searchable includes your full legal name, physical address, phone number, your age, any photos of you that might have been public, email addresses, past addresses, relatives, links to social media, your occupation, your marital status, even your property value. It's a lot of information. And all of this personally identifiable information, which is also called PII, can be used in social engineering attacks. And this is where an attacker uses basic information about a person to steal their identity or get access to accounts. You would be surprised how often that happens. Usually data broker sites in the US offer some kind of opt-out options for you to remove your data, but a lot of them make it incredibly hard to find the forms to fill out, or they block automation tools for opting out, or they make the process extremely convoluted by asking for you to send in like your ID and verify your information before they will actually remove the data. Some of them take like 14 weeks to remove your data from their website, which is absolutely ridiculous. Data brokers make money off your information, so they want to keep it there. They will fulfill an opt-out request, sure, but then they might republish your data a year later. It's annoying and it's time consuming to send all these opt-out requests, and quite frankly, it's a pain in the butt. So tools have popped up in the past several years to make it easier, but a lot of them don't, or they cannot hit all of the main sites because they depend on automation, or they only check them once and then they never monitor them again after the fact to make sure that your information doesn't get republished. So the reason that I have signed up for DeleteMe in the first place is because I had dealt with a few stalkers in real life in the past, to the point where I had to get law enforcement involved. So I took measures to protect myself and my family. I'm also a content creator, and I don't really want everyone on the internet knowing all of my business because that's really weird and really creepy, and I need some privacy now and then just like everybody else does. Over time, DeleteMe has sent plenty of opt-outs on my behalf, and I have taken additional measures to cleanse the web of the data that I don't want there. And to give you a few examples, some of my friends have signed up because they are cybersecurity consultants, or they are independent ethical hackers who need to protect their identity. Some folks sign up because they are looking for a job and they don't want an employer to find their social media. I've had transitioning friends sign up to scrub their dead name from the internet. A girl I know from high school, she said this on Facebook, she used it because she was dealing with a creepy dude who was trying to figure out where she lived. This stuff actually happens. And sometimes you just want Google search results to promote your new business or your LLC or whatever you're doing, and not your personal data about like your home address. You just want Google search results to be more professional, so you would rather have your website and your LinkedIn appear on search instead of a bunch of data brokers. That totally makes sense to me. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want data broker collection, but to me, it's mainly to thwart the potential privacy and safety issues. So I'm gonna walk you through how I signed up. First thing I did is I just went over to DeleteMe's website and I put in all my basic payment information, and I got a 2-year membership because it was the cheapest option. But they do have plenty of choices for a membership, like you can see here. You can add members of your family as well. Now, at the time of recording, for one person for a year, it's about $10.75 per month. And that price decreases depending on the number of people that you're adding on or the amount of years that you choose to sign up with. Now, personally, I think that price is totally reasonable given the amount of work that they are saving me, and it's cheaper than most of my streaming services per month. So I think the price is justifiable too, because the real human representatives send those opt-out requests for you, which totally defeats the automation blocks that a lot of these data brokers use. So after signing up, you will start filling out the data that you want DeleteMe to search for and remove. When you start filling out this information, it can be kind of scary since you are inputting your personally identifiable information data onto this new site, onto DeleteMe. Like, how do you know that you can trust them? So for me personally, it came down to word of mouth reviews from my cybersecurity friends who are experts in this field. I trust them when it comes to security and privacy, and that's why I trusted their recommendation. When they started recommending that I sign up for DeleteMe, I trusted their opinion, so I did. And I also realized that there's not a good way to get around giving a site your PII in order to remove said PII from data brokers. Like, you need to fill out opt-out request forms anyway with all of your PII in order for data brokers to find the listing to remove it. Plus, DeleteMe's been in business for 12 years doing this stuff, so they have a history of good service to their customers. So DeleteMe can send opt-outs with just your name if you don't want to fill out all the other information, but if you really want to take full advantage of their service, I do recommend filling out as much information as you can, like adding in previous addresses, if you changed your name at some point, adding that in. If you have relatives that might show up in search results, you can stick them in there too. Some data brokers do require you to send in a picture ID, which I think is so ridiculous. But if you want DeleteMe to also send those opt-outs for you to those sites and be successful, then you can upload a masked or a redacted copy of your photo ID for them to do that for you as well. So after you fill in all of the information that you want them to remove, you get your first report in about a week, about 7 days. That PDF report will show you kind of a basic record of how many records they reviewed, how many matching profiles they removed, and which sites they had checked. And under each and every single site, it's going to show you what PII was on that site and how long it takes to remove that data from that data broker. It's also going to show you whether a data removal is in process or it's already clean and your data was absent from that data broker when they checked it. Now, you will notice that some of the data brokers only take a few days to remove your data from their listings, and like I mentioned previously, some of them can take weeks, which is entirely frustrating, but it's good to know that information. And since some of those data brokers do repopulate your data now and then, DeleteMe does quarterly reviews and reports, so they keep on checking back to remove your data. So for example, on my page here, you can see under my profile, I have a ton of reports. Those are historical reports going back to when I first signed up for the account. And over time, I've noticed more and more sites will say clean, especially if you take other steps to start removing your personal data online. Like for example, you can start masking your social media. You can make your social media private. So any kind of relatives or anybody that you're related to, or maybe your email address is now private, things like that nature. You could also start masking your credit cards or using a private mailbox for mail instead of your home address. Little steps like that do help to protect your data over time, and DeleteMe is like this assistant who does these audits over time to make sure that nothing pops up. So I'm assuming at this point, if you've signed up for DeleteMe, you've probably already Googled yourself, you found some of those listings on your own. So here's a little hot tip. Every single quarter, I get this new report from DeleteMe, right? I will randomly choose one of those data brokers and just check the site for my data, especially if it says it's clean. In the 5 years that I have been a customer, I have not found my data on any of the data brokers that they listed as clean. That's really cool. That tells me that DeleteMe did in fact check the site and either already scrubbed the data or it wasn't there in the first place. As for sites that are listed as removal in progress, I will wait for the time of that removal to pass. So for example, if it says it takes 7 days, I'll wait that week, then I will search for myself on some of them just to make sure the opt-out was actually sent. And I've never found a discrepancy, so I'm very, very happy with what I've found so far. Now here's another hot tip. One time I found a brand new data broker that I'd never seen before, so I sent a manual removal request to my privacy advisor, which is through that link down at the bottom of your profile, and I linked to the listing and I told them about the listing. DeleteMe included that new data broker information on my next report, and it was scrubbed and it was clean. I checked back on the actual data broker site and I verified that it was actually gone. It was so much easier than having to go through the opt-out request myself because they just did it for me. So in that sense, I can absolutely say that there are humans checking to look for new data brokers all the time. If you send them a request, they will actually opt you out so you don't have to do it yourself. It's legit like having your own privacy assistant there to help you along this process because it is a very long process. Now I know that some folks will choose to do all the opting out themselves, and I understand. I found that as I get older though, I have a lot of responsibilities. I run a company and I have to outsource this part of my life. I mean, we have families, we have meals to cook, you probably have kids out there, houses to keep tidy, you have appointments to make, you have doctor visits to make for your kids. You got jobs to do. You probably have full-time jobs. We live busy lives, and I could just not justify spending hours upon hours every single month auditing all of these data broker sites and sending those opt-outs myself. So I am glad that DeleteMe exists because I will gladly pay for the peace of mind. So on that note, you can absolutely spend the time doing it yourself. Even DeleteMe has a DIY opt-out guide available on their site for some of the top data broker sites. But the sacrifice is your time. So I prefer going the route of having this company just do it for me. It's peace of mind and it's a weight off my shoulders. And after you set it up, you don't really have to think about it. DeleteMe will email you your privacy report every quarter, and you can check through it to see what's been removed and what's in the process of being removed. I noticed over the half decade, I've been using this since 2018, so that's 5 years, right? That's a long time. So I've noticed over the half decade of my use that they have added more and more data brokers to their service. When I first signed up, they did not have this many data brokers that they have now. So data brokers are obviously a growing issue, and I don't think it's gonna disappear anytime soon. Now and then I will go into my dashboard, which is super easy to understand, and I will check over the data sheet just to see if there's any new information that I have not included or need to update. This is a smart move to do now and then, just in case of any changes, like if you change your name, if you move, if you get a new email address or a phone number, like add that information in just so that they already are aware of it and they can remove it as soon as it pops up. So you may be asking, okay, well, what are the cons? I do have a couple of cons. I would love to see DeleteMe add the ability to use a hardware token for two-factor authentication as a feature for account protection. They do offer app-based 2FA, so that's definitely something I've already enabled on my phone, and that's wonderful, but I would love the increased security of a hardware token. But since they do offer 2FA, definitely enable that option when you set up your account. DeleteMe also cannot remove search results, and this is basically just because that's not what they're set up to do. If a site pops up on Google search listings because your name is on that Google search listing, that link, they cannot send requests to Google to have that listing removed, but they do send opt-outs to the data brokers. And as your data is removed from those sites, those data brokers, those links, it also starts to disappear from Google search. Google search results pull your information from data broker sites to add in with those links. It sources that page and it shows it to you on Google search. So as long as the data broker is listing your data, Google's gonna return that as a search result. So in turn, when you remove that data from the data broker, Google search will not see that data broker as a good search answer anymore, so it's going to remove it, it won't show it anymore. In other words, Google search isn't the problem, it's the data brokers that are the problem. Google just makes it easy for people or companies to find that information on you. I mean, people and companies could use any search engine they want, so if DeleteMe was just deleting information from Google, they would not be deleting the data broker links from any other search engine, so that doesn't really compute. But I did want to clarify that because that's a question that I saw a lot as well. I do love DeleteMe. I love the fact that they have continued to increase their service over the years by adding data brokers. It makes me a happy customer. I'm really satisfied with the reports. Maybe one day in the distant future, data broker sites won't be legal anymore and all of them will just be wiped from the internet. But today's not that day. So we have privacy providers that can help with that frustration. I hope that this video answered some questions from you about DeleteMe and how their product works. I have been a very happy customer, so I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have down below in the comments. I do have an affiliate link, which is right down below this video, so definitely check that out if you're interested in signing up. They do have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. It's one thing that I don't have to stress about. Thank you so much for liking this video and for subscribing to my content. I can't believe that I hit 80,000 subscribers. That's crazy to me, but so exciting. Thanks for joining me on this security and privacy journey, and I'll see you on the next security and privacy video. Bye.